As abruptly as it began, the vision ended. Elena found herself back in the heart of understanding, gasping for breath. Her team crowded around her, concern etched on their faces. "Captain, are you all right?" Kira asked, steadying Elena as she swayed slightly. Elena nodded, her mind reeling from the barrage of information and experiences. "I'm fine," she managed, her voice hoarse. It was incredible. Overwhelming, but incredible. The lead Zarkov stepped forward, its iridescent skin pulsing with what Elena now recognized as empathy. "You have seen our truth, Captain Rodriguez. You have experienced our history, our struggles, and our hopes. What say you now?" Elena straightened, looking the alien directly in its galaxy-filled eyes. "I believe you," she said firmly. "The threat you face, this devourer, it's real. And you're right about humanity. We may be young, but we have the potential to make a difference." Zoe's scientific curiosity got the better of her. "Captain, what exactly did you see? What is this threat?" Elena turned to her team, her expression grave. "It's unlike anything we've ever encountered or imagined. The Devourer it's like a cosmic cancer, consuming entire galaxies. It doesn't just destroy worlds, it unravels the very fabric of space-time." Malik frowned, his engineer's mind already racing. "But how do you fight something like that? If it's as powerful as you say, what chance do we have?" "That's where we come in," Elena replied, a spark of determination in her eyes. "The Zarkov and the other advanced species have been holding the line, but they're at a stalemate. They believe that human creativity and adaptability might be the key to finding a solution." The lead Zarkov nodded, its gill-like structures fluttering. "Your species possesses a unique way of thinking, of approaching problems from unexpected angles. Where we see immutable laws of physics, you see possibilities. This, lateral thinking, as you call it, may be our salvation." Kira, ever practical, spoke up. "But we're just one ship, one small team. How can we possibly make a difference on this scale?" Elena smiled, feeling a surge of pride in her crew and her species. "We're not alone, Kira. The Zarkov have been watching humanity for generations. They've seen our potential, our drive to explore and innovate. We're not here by chance. Our arrival marks the beginning of humanity's introduction to the galactic community." The implications of her words sank in, and Elena saw a mix of awe and trepidation on her team's faces. They had come seeking first contact, but they had found so much more. The fate of not just humanity, but countless alien civilizations now rested in their hands. The lead Zarkov raised its arms, and the chamber around them shifted. Suddenly, they were surrounded by holographic representations of strange alien species, each unique and wondrous in its own right. "Behold," the Zarkov intoned, "the members of the eternal confluence. For millennia, we have worked together to shepherd young civilizations and defend against cosmic threats. Now, we extend an invitation to humanity. Join us, learn from us, and in turn, teach us. Together, we may yet find a way to defeat the Devourer." Elena felt the weight of history on her shoulders. This moment would change the course of human civilization forever. But as she looked at her team, seeing the determination and courage in their eyes, she knew they were ready for the challenge. "On behalf of humanity," Elena said, her voice steady and clear, "we accept your invitation. We may be new to the galactic stage, but we bring with us the full measure of human ingenuity, compassion, and determination. Whatever challenges lie ahead, we face them together." The chamber erupted in a chorus of alien voices, a cacophony of approval that resonated in Elena's mind. The Zarkov's expression was one of profound relief and hope. "Then let it be known," the alien declared, "that on this day, humanity takes its place among the stars. The eternal confluence welcomes you, and together, we shall forge a new destiny for all sentient life." As the gravity of the moment settled over them, Elena turned to her team. "Well," she said with a wry smile, "I think our mission parameters just expanded a bit. Are you ready to make history?" Zoe's eyes sparkled with excitement. Born ready, Captain. The scientific possibilities alone are mind-boggling. Malik nodded, a determined set to his jaw. If there's engineering challenges to be solved, count me in. We'll show these aliens what human innovation can do. Kira's hand instinctively went to the insignia on her uniform. For Earth and all of humanity, Captain, lead the way. Elena felt a swell of pride in her crew. They had come seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars. Instead, they had found a grand purpose, a chance to safeguard not just their own world, but countless others. "All right then," Elena said, squaring her shoulders. "Let's get to work. We've got a universe to save." As the Zarkov began to outline the next steps, introducing the humans to the vast repository of knowledge and technology at the Eternal Confluence's disposal, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But humanity had never shied away from a challenge. They had taken their first steps into a larger universe, and Elena was determined to ensure that humanity's mark on the cosmos would be one of courage, compassion, and unwavering resolve. The greatest adventure in human history had begun, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in welcome. The days that followed humanity's introduction to the Eternal Confluence were a whirlwind of activity and discovery. Captain Elena Rodriguez and her team found themselves at the center of a galactic diplomatic storm, serving as humanity's first ambassadors to a cosmos teeming with life and diversity beyond their wildest imaginations. The crystal spires of the Zarkov homeworld had become their temporary base of operations, a dizzying blend of alien architecture and advanced technology that constantly left them in awe. Elena stood at the viewport of their assigned quarters, gazing out at the alien cityscape that sprawled before her. The bloated red sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows that danced between the towering structures. A chime at the door broke her reverie. "Enter," she called, turning to see Dr. Zhou Chang practically bouncing with excitement as she entered the room. "Captain, you won't believe what I've just learned," Zhou exclaimed, her eyes shining with the fervor of scientific discovery. "The Zarkov have granted me access to their xenobiology database. The sheer diversity of life forms out there, it's staggering." Elena couldn't help but smile at her science officer's enthusiasm. "That's fantastic, Zhou. What's caught your interest the most?" Zhou's words tumbled out in a rush. "Well, there's this species called the Vorics. They exist simultaneously in multiple dimensions. And the Galvtu, they communicate entirely through bioluminescence. Oh, and get this, there's a silicon-based life form that—" Elena held up a hand, chuckling. "Slow down, Doctor. We've got time to explore all of these wonders. Remember, we're not just here as scientists. We have a mission." Zhou's excitement dimmed slightly, replaced by a more somber expression. "Right, the Devourer. Have you had any insights on that front, Captain?" Elena sighed, turning back to the viewport. "It's complicated. The Zarkov and their allies have been fighting this threat for millennia. They've shown me battle plans, defensive strategies, even weapons that defy our understanding of physics. And yet, they're barely holding the line." "But they think we can help," Zhou said, a note of wonder in her voice. "Us, humans, we've barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel, and they're looking to us for solutions." Elena nodded, a wry smile playing at her lips. Apparently, our primitive thinking might be just what they need. Fresh perspectives and all that. Their conversation was interrupted by another chime at the door. This time it was Malik who entered, his usually cheerful face creased with concern. "Captain, we might have a problem," he said without preamble. "I've been working with some of the Zarkov engineers, trying to understand their propulsion systems. But there's been some friction." Elena frowned. "What kind of friction, Chief?" Malik ran a hand over his close-cropped hair, a gesture Elena had come to recognize as a sign of frustration. "It's their approach to problem-solving. They're brilliant, no doubt about it, but they're also rigid. When I suggested a modification to improve efficiency, you'd think I'd insulted their ancestors." That tracks with what I've seen in the biology labs, so chimed in. The Zarkov scientists are incredibly knowledgeable, but they seem almost afraid of experimentation. Everything has to be run through simulations and approved by committees before they'll even consider testing it. Elena considered this information, her brow furrowed in thought. It makes sense in a way. They're an ancient civilization set in their ways. And when you're dealing with technology as advanced as theirs, even small mistakes could have catastrophic consequences. But that's just it, Malik insisted. Progress requires risk. You can't innovate if you're always playing it safe. And that's why they need us, Elena realized, the pieces falling into place. Our primitive thinking, our willingness to take chances and think outside the box, that's our strength. Before anyone could respond, a soft chime filled the room, the Zarkov equivalent of a comm system activating. The melodious voice of their liaison, a Zarkov named Zilvax, resonated in their minds. Captain Rodriguez, your presence is requested in the Chamber of Confluence. The Council wishes to discuss the integration of human knowledge into our efforts against the Devourer. Elena straightened, adjusting her uniform. Understood, Zilvax. We'll be there shortly. She turned to her officers. Zoe, Malik, you're with me. Let's show these aliens what humanity has to offer. As they made their way through the twisting corridors of the Zarkov citadel, Elena couldn't shake a sense of unease. They were about to present human ideas to a council of beings whose civilizations were ancient when Earth was still cooling. The potential for misunderstanding, or worse, offense, was enormous. The Chamber of Confluence was a vast, circular room that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Beings of all shapes and sizes occupied tiered seating that spiraled up into infinity. Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied description, existing as shimmering fields of energy or complex geometries that hurt the eye to look at directly. At the center of the chamber stood a holographic representation of the galaxy, with angry red tendrils creeping in from the edges, the encroachment of the Devourer. Elena swallowed hard, the true scale of the threat they faced hitting home once again. Zilvax guided them to a podium facing the assembled council. Esteemed members of the Eternal Confluence, the Zarkov announced, I present Captain Elena Rodriguez and her team from Earth. They come before us with new perspectives on our fight against the Great Darkness. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself. This was it, humanity's debut on the galactic stage. She stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. Honored members of the Confluence, on behalf of humanity, I thank you for this opportunity. We may be new to your community, but we come eager to learn and to contribute. She gestured to the galactic map. The threat we face is beyond anything my people have ever encountered. But perhaps that very inexperience is our strength. Where you see immutable laws, we see possibilities. Where you see risks too great to take, we see necessary leaps of faith. A murmur rippled through the assembled aliens. Elena pressed on, her confidence growing. Humanity's history is one of overcoming impossible odds through innovation, determination, and yes, a bit of reckless courage. We don't pretend to have all the answers, but we offer a fresh perspective, untamed creativity, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. She nodded to Malik, who stepped forward. If I may, I'd like to present a theoretical modification to your current defensive systems. It's unorthodox, but our simulations suggest it could increase effectiveness by up to 30%. As Malik launched into his explanation, Elena watched the reactions of the council members. Some seemed intrigued, others skeptical, and a few were clearly affronted by the audacity of these newcomers, presuming to improve on Ian's old technology. One being, a shimmering cloud of plasma, but Elena's mind, translated as vaguely humanoid, spoke up. Your ideas are interesting, humans, but they are untested, dangerous. The risks of implementation far outweigh any potential benefits. Elena was about to respond when Zoe cut in, her scientific passion overriding her usual reserve. With all due respect, Counselor, risk is an essential part of progress. Every great leap forward in my people's history came from those willing to challenge conventional wisdom. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, some supportive, others outraged. Elena felt the situation slipping out of control. This cultural clash was exactly what she had feared. Suddenly, a booming voice cut through the chaos. Enough. All eyes turned to a massive being that seemed to be composed of living crystal. When it spoke again, its voice resonated with ancient wisdom. We invited the humans here because we recognized their potential. Now we balk at their very nature. Have we become so set in our ways that we cannot recognize the value of new perspectives? The crystalline being's gaze swept the chamber before settling on Elena. Captain Rodriguez, your people's willingness to embrace the unknown is precisely what this confluence needs. We have relied on caution and incremental progress for too long. The devourer advances, and we stagnate. It turned back to the assembly. I move that we establish a joint task force, combining our knowledge with human creativity. Let us see what innovations may arise from this union. A tense silence fell over the chamber. Then, one by one, council members began to signal their assent. Elena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It wasn't universal approval, but it was a start. As the session adjourned, Elena and her team found themselves surrounded by curious aliens, eager to discuss their ideas further. The cultural barriers weren't gone, but the first steps toward true collaboration had been taken. Zilvax approached, its iridescent skin pulsing with what Elena now recognized as excitement. Captain, your presentation was most invigorating. I believe you have opened many minds today. The real work begins now. Elena nodded, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration washing over her. We're ready, Zilvax. Humanity has always dreamed of its place among the stars. Now that we're here, we won't let you down. As they left the chamber of confluence, Elena couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had come seeking knowledge and found a grand purpose. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with cultural misunderstandings and clashes of ideology. But in those differences lay the potential for true innovation. Humanity had taken its first real steps onto the galactic stage. They were no longer just observers, but active participants in a cosmic drama. And Elena was determined to ensure that their mark on the universe would be one of courage, compassion, and unwavering resolve. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun. The weeks following the formation of the Joint Human-Alien Task Force were a whirlwind of activity. Captain Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a cosmic confluence of ideas, mediating between the cautious methodologies of the ancient alien civilizations and the bold, sometimes reckless innovations of her human team. Today, she stood in the heart of the Zarkov's most advanced research facility, a chamber that defied human understanding of physics. Streams of data flowed through the air like rivers of light, while holographic representations of various defense systems and weapon prototypes hovered at workstations scattered throughout the room. "Captain, you need to see this," Dr. Zhou Chang called out, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Elena made her way to Zhou's station, where a 3D model of the galaxy rotated slowly. Angry red tendrils, representing the encroachment of the devourer, pulsed ominously. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Elena asked, her brow furrowing as she studied the display. Zhou's fingers danced across the holographic controls, zooming in on a particular sector. "We've been analyzing the devourer's expansion patterns, trying to predict its next move. But look here." She highlighted a series of systems near the edge of known space. "These worlds shouldn't have fallen yet, not according to any of our models." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "It's accelerating." "Worse," Zhou said grimly. "It's adapting. Every defense we throw at it, every strategy we employ, it learns and evolves. The Zarkov and their allies have been fighting a holding action for millennia, but now we're running out of time," Elena finished, the weight of their situation settling heavily on her shoulders. A commotion at the far end of the chamber drew their attention. Malik Adenuga, the chief engineer, was engaged in what appeared to be a heated debate with a group of Zarkov scientists. His voice, usually jovial, was raised in frustration. "I'm telling you, the theory is sound," Malik insisted, gesturing emphatically at a complex schematic floating before them. "Yes, it's risky, but if it works, we could cut the devourer off at the knees." One of the Zarkov, its iridescent skin pulsing with agitation, responded in the melodic tones of their species. "The energy requirements alone make this plan unfeasible, and the potential for catastrophic failure is a risk we have to take." Malik cut in. He turned, spotting Elena approaching. "Captain, please, talk some sense into them." Elena took a moment to study the schematic. Even with her limited understanding of the advanced physics involved, she could see the audacity of Malik's proposal. It was brilliant, innovative, and incredibly dangerous. "Talk to me, Chief," she said calmly. "What exactly are we looking at here?" Malik's eyes lit up with the fervor of scientific breakthrough. "It's a quantum entanglement disruptor, Captain. In theory, it could sever the devourer's connection to our space-time continuum, forcing it back into, well, whatever hellish dimension it came from." The lead Zarkov scientist, Vexalia, stepped forward. "Captain Rodriguez, while Engineer Adenuga's creativity is admirable, this plan is simply too risky. The power source he proposes taps into the fundamental forces of the universe itself. A miscalculation could tear a hole in reality, potentially accelerating the very catastrophe we seek to prevent." Elena considered their words carefully. The tension in the room was palpable, a microcosm of the larger conflict brewing between human ingenuity and alien caution. She was about to respond when an alarm blared throughout the facility. Zilvax, their Zarkov liaison, materialized beside them, its form shimmering with urgency. "Captain, we have a situation. A devourer probe has breached the outer defenses of the Helios system." Elena's blood ran cold. Helios, the star around which Earth orbited, their home. "How is that possible?" she demanded. "Earth is nowhere near the front lines." Zilvax's expression was grim. "It appears to have used some form of quantum tunneling. Our long-range sensors only detected it moments before it arrived in the system." "We need to warn Earth," Elena said, her mind racing. "The horizon is being prepared for immediate departure," Zilvax assured her. "But Captain, there is more. The Council of the Eternal Confluence is convening an emergency session. Your presence is requested." Elena nodded sharply. "Zoe, Malik, you're with me. Zilvax, have all our latest data on the Devourer's movements sent to the horizon. We'll need to brief Earth's leaders as soon as we arrive." As they hurried through the twisting corridors of the Zarkov citadel, Elena's mind whirled with the implications of this new threat. The Devourer had always seemed like a distant menace, a problem for future generations. Now suddenly, it was at their doorstep. The Chamber of Confluence was in chaos when they arrived. Representatives from dozens of alien species argued in a cacophony of languages, their fear and anger palpable. At the center of the chamber, the holographic galactic map showed the Devourer's tendrils creeping ever closer to the heart of civilized space. A hush fell over the assembly as Elena and her team took their place at the speaker's podium. The crystalline being who had supported them in their previous appearance rose to address the gathering. "Fellow members of the Confluence, we stand at a crossroads." Its resonant voice filled the chamber. "The Devourer advances faster than ever before, and now it threatens the homeworld of our newest allies. We must decide, here and now, how we will respond." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. "Honored members of the Confluence, the situation is dire, but not hopeless. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before and survived through innovation and determination. We have new weapons to bring to this fight, not just technology, but ideas." She gestured to Malik. "My chief engineer has developed a theoretical weapon that could turn the tide of this war. Yes, it's risky. Yes, it's untested. But we are out of time for caution." A murmur ran through the assembly. The plasma car being that had opposed them before spoke up. And if this weapon fails, if it makes things worse, the humans ask us to gamble the fate of the entire universe on their unproven theories. With all due respect, Zoe interjected, her voice ringing clear, we are already losing this gamble. The Devourer adapts to every strategy we employ. If we continue as we have, defeat is certain. At least this gives us a fighting chance. The chamber erupted in argument once more. Elena watched as factions formed and dissolved, alliances shifted, and the fate of galaxies hung in the balance. She caught Zilvak's eye, seeing a mix of fear and hope in the alien's expression. Suddenly, a new alarm blared, cutting through the din. All eyes turned to the galactic map as a massive disturbance erupted near the Helios system. Elena's heart nearly stopped as she saw a swirling vortex of darkness expanding, consuming entire star systems in moments. It's a Devourer nexus, Zilvax whispered in horror. A gateway for its main force to enter our galaxy, if it fully manifests. Then we're out of time, Elena finished grimly. She turned to address the stunned assembly, her voice ringing with determination. Honored Confluence, the enemy is at our gates. We can stand united, take this risk together, or we can fall divided. Humanity is prepared to do whatever it takes to save not just our world, but all of yours as well. Who stands with us? For a moment, silence reigned. Then, one by one, representatives began to signal their assent. The crystalline being's voice boomed out, the motion carries. We will implement the human weapon, with all resources at our disposal. Elena felt a mix of relief and trepidation wash over her. They had their chance, but the real challenge was just beginning. She turned to her team, seeing the same determination reflected in their eyes. Malik, you have full authority to requisition whatever you need. Zoe, coordinate with the Zarkov scientists to refine the targeting systems. We'll rendezvous on the horizon in 3 hours. As the chamber emptied, aliens rushing to prepare for the coming battle, Zilvax approached Elena. Captain, it said solemnly, I fear we have placed a terrible burden on your shoulders. Elena managed a wry smile. No more terrible than the one we all face, old friend. This is humanity's trial by fire. Win or lose, we face it together. As they left the Chamber of Confluence, alarms still blaring in the distance, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were hurtling towards a point of no return. The fate of not just humanity, but countless alien civilizations now rested on their shoulders. The Devourer was coming, and in the crucible of this cosmic conflict, humanity would either prove its worth among the stars or fall into eternal darkness. The final battle was about to begin. The horizon cut through the void of space, its engines pushed beyond their designed limits. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of darkness that grew larger on the viewscreen with each passing moment. The Devourer Nexus loomed before them, a cosmic maw threatening to swallow not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Status report, Elena barked, her voice taut with tension. Lieutenant Kira Chen's fingers danced across her console. We're approaching the outer edge of the Sol system, Captain. The Nexus has already consumed Mars. Earth's defenses are holding, but they won't last long against the main force. Elena nodded grimly. And our allies? The Zarkov fleet is right behind us, Malik reported from his engineering station. The rest of the Confluence forces are moving into position around the system's edge. They're ready to channel energy to the quantum entanglement disruptor when we give the signal. Dr. Zhou Chang spoke up, her voice tinged with awe and fear. Captain, the readings from the Nexus. They're unlike anything we've ever seen. The laws of physics are breaking down at its edges. If we don't stop it soon. We will, Elena said firmly, as much to reassure herself as her crew. We have to. A chime sounded, and Zilvax's holographic form appeared on the bridge. The Zarkov's usual calm demeanor was noticeably strained. Captain Rodriguez, we are in position, but there's a complication. Elena felt her heart sink. What kind of complication? Zilvax's image flickered. Whether from interference or agitation, it was hard to tell. The quantum entanglement disruptor. Our simulations show that it will require a direct neural interface to properly calibrate in real time. Someone must physically connect with the device. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The implications were clear. Whoever interfaced with the weapon would be exposed to unimaginable energies. It was likely a one-way trip. "I'll do it," Elena said without hesitation. "This is our best shot at saving Earth, at saving everything. I can't ask anyone else to." "No," Zilvax interrupted, its voice surprisingly firm. "It cannot be you, Captain. The interface requires a unique combination of human creativity and alien knowledge." "I will do it." Elena blinked in surprise. "Zilvax, you can't. Your people, the confluence, they need you." The Zarkov's holographic eyes met Elena's, and she saw in them a depth of emotion she hadn't thought possible from the usually reserved alien. "Perhaps, but in these past weeks, working alongside you and your team, I have come to understand something profound about humanity. Your species possesses a spark, a potential that the galaxy desperately needs. If we survive this, the confluence will need your guidance more than mine." Before Elena could argue further, alarms blared across the bridge. "Captain," Kira shouted. "Multiple Devourer entities emerging from the Nexus. They're heading straight for Earth." Elena's training took over, pushing aside the emotional turmoil. Battle stations. Malik prepared to divert all non-essential power to the quantum disruptor. "Zo, I want continuous scans of the Nexus. If you see any weakness, any pattern we can exploit, I want to know immediately." As the crew sprang into action, Elena turned back to Zilvax's hologram. "Are you sure about this, old friend?" The Zarkov's form shimmered with what might have been a sad smile. "I am. But Captain, Elena, there is something you must know. The reason I volunteered for this mission." Elena felt a shift in the air, a sense that she was about to learn something that would change everything. "What is it?" Zilvax's voice took on a reverent tone. "When our species first made contact, when you interfaced with the nexus of thought, a connection was formed, deeper than mere knowledge transfer. For the first time in eons, my people felt something we had thought lost to us. Hope, wonder, the thrill of the unknown." The alien's form seemed to pulse with emotion. "In your minds, we saw not just the potential to fight the Devourer, but to reignite the spark of creativity and passion in cultures grown stagnant with age. You have already changed us, Elena. Now, let me help ensure that humanity has the chance to change the rest of the galaxy." Tears pricked at Elena's eyes, a lump forming in her throat. She wanted to argue, to find another way, but the tactical part of her mind knew there was no time. I understand. Thank you, Zilvax, for everything." The Zarkov bowed its head. "The honor has been mine, Captain. Now let us save your world and all worlds." As Zilvax's hologram faded, Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for the battle to come. "All hands, prepare for engagement. Malik, establish a secure link with Zilvax's ship. I want constant communication as they interface with the disruptor." The viewscreen lit up with weapons fire as the combined fleet of the Eternal Confluence clashed with the Devourer's forces. Sleek Zarkov cruisers unleashed beams of pure energy, while ships of a dozen alien designs Elena couldn't even begin to comprehend joined the fray. "Multiple impacts on Earth's defense grid," Kira reported, her voice tight. "They're holding, but not for long." Elena's mind raced, trying to find a strategy that would buy them more time. "Zo, what about the Devourer entities? Any weaknesses?" The science officer shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. "They're adapting too quickly. Every time we find a vulnerability, they shift their energy patterns. It's like they're learning in real time." "That's it," Malik exclaimed suddenly. All eyes on the bridge turned to him. "Captain, what if we use that against them? Feed them false data, make them adapt in a way that leaves them vulnerable to the disruptor." Elena felt a glimmer of hope. It was audacious, possibly insane, but it just might work. Do it. Coordinate with the Confluence fleet. I want every ship broadcasting conflicting energy signatures. Keep the Devourer guessing. As Malik relayed the orders, Elena opened a channel to Zilvax's ship. How's it going over there, old friend? The Zarkov's voice came through strained but determined. The interface is intense, but I am managing. The disruptor is nearly ready. Good, Elena said. We're implementing a new strategy. Be ready to fire on my mark. The next few minutes were chaos. The horizon rocked with near misses as it dove and weaved through the battle, its weapons blazing. On the view screen, Elena watched as the Confluence fleet executed her plan with precision, their energy signatures flickering and changing in a dizzying pattern. For a moment, it seemed to be working. The Devourer entities faltered, their movements becoming erratic as they struggled to adapt to the conflicting data. But then, with horrifying speed, they began to coalesce into a single massive form. Captain, Zoe cried out. They're combining, pooling their resources. Our strategy. I think we've accidentally helped them evolve into something even more powerful. Elena felt her heart sink. Had she just doomed them all? But before despair could take hold, Zilvax's voice cut through the comms. Now, Elena, the disruptor is ready. Their combined form, it's perfect. Fire now. Without hesitation, Elena gave the order. All power to the disruptor. Fire. A beam of impossible energy lanced out from Zilvax's ship, connecting with the heart of the Devourer's combined form. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent scream that nonetheless echoed in the minds of every being present, reality itself began to tear. The Devourer writhed, its form twisting in ways that hurt to look at. The Nexus pulsed, tendrils of darkness lashing out wildly. Elena watched in awe and terror as the fabric of space-time warped around the cosmic horror. It's working, Zoe shouted over the blare of alarms. The Devourer's connection to our universe is destabilizing. But their victory was not without cost. Zilvax's ship shuddered, energy arcing across its hull as it channeled power beyond its design limits. Elena knew, with a sick certainty, that her friend was pouring every ounce of their being into this final, desperate attack. Zilvax, she whispered, knowing the Zarkov couldn't hear her. Thank you. With a final, reality-bending implosion, the Devourer and its Nexus collapsed in on themselves. A shockwave of energy rolled out across space, washing over the assembled fleets. For a terrifying moment, Elena thought they too would be consumed. But as quickly as it had begun, it was over. Where the Nexus had been, there was now only empty space, sprinkled with the glittering remains of cosmic dust. A stunned silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of consoles and the ragged breathing of the crew. Elena stared at the view screen, almost unable to believe what she was seeing. Did we do it? Kira asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zoe's fingers flew over her console, running scan after scan. The Devourer's energy signature is gone. The Nexus has collapsed. I think we actually did it. A cheer went up from the crew, the release of tension palpable. But Elena couldn't bring herself to join in the celebration. Not yet. Zilvax's ship, she said. What's its status? The joy on the bridge quickly sobered. Malik checked his readings, his expression grim. No life signs detected, Captain. The ship's core is critical. It's breaking apart. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of their victory and its cost. When she opened them again, her gaze was steel. Send out recovery teams. I want every scrap of data from that ship's computers. Zilvax's sacrifice won't be in vain. As the crew carried out her orders, Elena turned back to the view screen. Earth hung there, battered but unbroken. Around it, the combined fleet of the Eternal Confluence regrouped, aliens of 1,000 species united in a moment of shared triumph and loss. They had won, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, but at a terrible cost. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Elena found herself wondering, what would come next? How would this victory change humanity's place in the cosmos? One thing was certain, nothing would ever be the same again. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, a new era dawning for all sentient life. And humanity, with its unique spark of creativity and determination, would be at the forefront. Elena squared her shoulders, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun. In the days following the defeat of the Devourer, the Sol system became the focal point of galactic attention. Ships from across the eternal confluence arrived in droves, some offering aid, others seeking to study the aftermath of the cosmic battle. The Horizon, once a lone human vessel in a sea of alien designs, now stood as a symbol of the pivotal role humanity had played in averting catastrophe. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood in the newly established Terran embassy on the Zarkov homeworld, gazing out at the alien cityscape. The crystal spires, once so foreign and intimidating, now felt almost like a second home. She turned as the door chimed, admitting Dr. Zhou Chang and Chief Engineer Malik Adenuga. "Captain," Zhou began, her eyes alight with the fervor of scientific discovery, "you won't believe what we found in the data recovered from Zilvak's ship." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Something that can wait until after the Confluence Council meeting, I hope." Malik grinned, his usual jovial demeanor returning after weeks of stress. "Trust me, Captain, you're going to want to hear this before you face those stuffy alien politicians." With a sigh that was equal parts exasperation and fondness, Elena gestured for them to continue. Zhou activated a holographic display showing a complex network of energy patterns. "This is a map of the quantum entanglement network created by the disruptor," Zhou explained. "But look here." She zoomed in on a particular node, revealing a pulsing core of energy. "This isn't just residual energy from the Devourer. It's, well, we think it might be Zilvax." Elena's eyes widened. "What do you mean? Are you saying Zilvax is alive?" Malik stepped in, his expression a mix of excitement and caution. "Not alive in the biological sense, Captain, but it seems that in the moment of interfacing with the disruptor, Zilvax's consciousness was somehow uploaded into the quantum network." "We're still trying to understand the implications," Zhou added quickly, seeing the hope dawning in Elena's eyes. "But if we're right, this could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. More importantly, it might give us a way to communicate with Zilvax, to access the vast knowledge of the Zarkov in a way we never thought possible." Elena sat heavily in a nearby chair, her mind reeling with the possibilities. "This is incredible, but also potentially dangerous. If word gets out before we fully understand what's happened, it could cause panic among some species," Malik finished. "Or a rush to replicate the process without proper safeguards." "Exactly," Elena nodded. "For now, this stays between us. But we'll need to bring it up with the Council eventually. This kind of discovery is too big to keep secret for long." A chime from the room's communication panel interrupted their discussion. Captain Rodriguez, a melodious alien voice announced, "The Confluence Council is ready to receive you." Elena stood, straightening her uniform. "Well, let's go face the music. Zhou, Malik, I want you both with me. Something tells me we're going to need all the human ingenuity we can muster." The chamber of confluence was packed to capacity, representatives from hundreds of alien species crowded into the multi-dimensional space. As Elena and her team entered, a hush fell over the assembly. She could feel the weight of countless alien gazes upon her, a mix of curiosity, respect, and in some cases, lingering suspicion. The crystalline being who had supported humanity's efforts during the crisis rose to address the gathering. "Esteemed members of the Confluence, we are gathered here to discuss the aftermath of our victory against the Devourer and to determine the path forward for our united civilizations. Captain Elena Rodriguez of Earth, please step forward and address the Council." Elena took a deep breath and approached the central podium. The events of the past weeks had thrust her into a role she never could have imagined, de facto ambassador for all of humanity. Honored members of the eternal confluence, she began, her voice steady and clear. The crisis we face together has changed all of us. In our darkest hour, we found strength not in our differences, but in our shared determination to survive, to protect the wonder and diversity of life in our galaxy. She paused, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Humanity is young compared to many of your civilizations. We have much to learn, but we also bring a fresh perspective, a willingness to challenge conventional thinking that may be exactly what we all need as we rebuild and look to the future. A murmur ran through the assembly. Elena pressed on. We propose a series of joint scientific and cultural exchange programs. Let us combine the wisdom of your ancient civilizations with the innovative spirit of humanity. Together, we can unlock new technologies, new ways of thinking that will strengthen us all against any future threats. The plasma cloud being that had once opposed them spoke up. Pretty words, Captain, but how do you propose to implement such programs? The technological and cultural gaps between our civilizations are vast. Elena smiled, having anticipated this question. That's where human adaptability comes in. Dr. Chung, if you would. Zoe stepped forward, activating a holographic display. We've developed a prototype for what we call a universal cultural interface. It's a combination of advanced AI and adaptive holographic technology that can bridge the gap between vastly different species and cultures. As Zoe demonstrated the device, translating complex alien concepts into easily understandable human terms and vice versa, Elena could see interest spark in the eyes of many council members. Furthermore, Malik added, we've made significant progress in reverse engineering some of the technology used in the quantum entanglement disruptor. We believe we can adapt it to create a faster, more efficient form of intergalactic communication. The council chamber erupted in excited discussion. Elena could see alliances forming, ideas being exchanged at a rapid pace. It was exactly the kind of innovative collaboration she had hoped for. But not everyone was convinced. A reptilian alien, its scales shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, raised a clawed hand. This all sounds very promising, but it also gives humanity unprecedented access to advanced technologies. How can we be sure this won't upset the balance of power in the galaxy? Elena had been prepared for this concern, a valid point, which is why we propose that all of these programs be conducted under the auspices of the eternal confluence. Every discovery, every advancement will be shared equally among all member species. Humanity doesn't seek to dominate, but to collaborate. She took a deep breath, knowing her next words would be controversial. In fact, we believe that the confluence itself needs to evolve. The recent crisis showed that our current structure is too slow to react to fast-moving threats. We propose the formation of a new rapid response task force, combining the best minds and technologies from all our civilizations. The chamber fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. Elena pressed her advantage. Humanity volunteers to lead this task force, not out of a desire for power, but because our adaptability and outside perspective make us uniquely suited to the role. Of course, we would work in close cooperation with representatives from all confluence species. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, to Elena's surprise, the crystalline being let out a booming laugh. Once again, humans, you challenge us to think beyond our established patterns. It is refreshing. One by one, other council members began to signal their approval. There were conditions, compromises to be made, but the overall reception was positive. Elena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had done it. Humanity had secured its place among the stars. As the council meeting adjourned, Elena found herself surrounded by alien diplomats eager to discuss the details of the proposed programs. In the midst of the excitement, she felt a familiar presence at her side. "Well done, Captain," Zilvax's voice echoed in her mind, a remnant of their quantum connection. "You have opened a new chapter for all our civilizations." Elena smiled, a bittersweet feeling washing over her. We couldn't have done it without you, old friend, and who knows? Maybe one day we'll find a way to bring you back fully. As she engaged with the alien representatives, discussing plans for cultural exchanges, joint scientific ventures, and the new task force, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had faced its trial by fire and emerged stronger, not just as a species, but as part of a greater galactic community. The challenges ahead were immense, integrating human innovation with alien wisdom, navigating the complex politics of the confluence, and preparing for any future cosmic threats would require all of their ingenuity and determination. But as Elena looked out at the diverse gathering of species, all working together towards a common goal, she knew that they were up to the task. The stars had once seemed distant and unreachable. Now they were the backdrop for humanity's greatest adventure. With the combined strength of the eternal confluence and the spark of human creativity, there was no challenge they couldn't overcome, no frontier they couldn't explore. The future, vast and unknown, beckoned, and humanity, hand in hand with their new alien allies, was ready to meet it head-on. 5 years had passed since humanity's pivotal role in defeating the Devourer, and the galaxy was a changed place. The Terran embassy on the Zarkov homeworld had grown into a sprawling complex, a symbol of the new era of cooperation between Earth and the myriad civilizations of the eternal confluence. Captain Elena Rodriguez, now Admiral Rodriguez, stood on the observation deck of the newly christened starship Silvax, named in honor of their fallen alien friend. The vessel represented the pinnacle of human-alien hybrid technology, a testament to what could be achieved when diverse civilizations worked together. Admiral, a familiar voice called. Elena turned to see Dr. Zhou Chang approaching, her eyes alight with the same enthusiasm for discovery that had driven her all these years. The final calibrations on the quantum comm array are complete. We're ready for the test. Elena nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension churning in her stomach. This is it then. Our first attempt at galaxy-wide instantaneous communication. Not just communication, Malik chimed in, joining them on the deck. The years had added a few streaks of grey to his hair, but his grin was as boyish as ever. If this works, we'll be able to transmit matter and energy across vast distances. It's a game changer for exploration, resource distribution, emergency response, and potential conflict. Elena finished soberly. Let's not forget the responsibility that comes with this kind of power. They made their way to the bridge, where representatives from a dozen alien species worked seamlessly alongside human crew members. It was a sight that still filled Elena with wonder, even after all this time. All stations report in, she ordered, settling into the command chair. One by one, the various departments signaled their readiness. Elena took a deep breath, then gave the command. Initiate quantum comm test, phase 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a shimmer of energy, a holographic figure materialized on the bridge. Elena's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the form of Silvax, reconstructed from the quantum data they had spent years decoding. Greetings, my friends, the Zarkov's melodious voice filled the bridge. It brings me great joy to see you all again, even in this limited form. There were gasps and murmurs of awe from the crew. Elena stepped forward, her voice thick with emotion. Silvax, it's really you. We've missed you, old friend. The holographic alien's expression was one of warmth and curiosity. I have been aware, in a sense, of the progress you've all made. The quantum network you've built upon my sacrifice is truly remarkable. But tell me, how fares the galaxy? How has the confluence adapted to the changes you've wrought? Elena laughed softly. That's a long story, Silvax. One I think you'll find fascinating. She turned to her crew. Stand down from test protocols. It seems we have some catching up to do. Over the next few hours, Elena, Zoe, and Malik brought Silvax up to speed on the monumental changes of the past 5 years. They told of the initial struggles to integrate human ideas into the ancient structures of the confluence, of the breakthroughs that came from combining Earth's pioneering spirit with alien wisdom. They spoke of the Rapid Response Task Force, which had already averted 2 potential crises that might have once escalated into galactic conflicts. They detailed the cultural exchange programs that had led to unprecedented cooperation between species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or indifference. It hasn't all been smooth sailing, Elena admitted. There are still factions within the confluence who see humanity's rise as a threat, and we've had our own struggles on Earth, dealing with the implications of suddenly being part of a vast galactic community. Zilvax of holographic form nodded thoughtfully. Change is never easy, especially on such a grand scale, but from what you've told me, it seems the benefits far outweigh the challenges. Zoe stepped forward, her eyes shining with excitement. Zilvax, now that we've established this connection, the possibilities are endless. Your consciousness, linked to the quantum network, you could be an intermediary between organic and artificial intelligence, a bridge between vastly different species and ways of thinking. The Zarkov's form shimmered, as if in contemplation. A fascinating proposal, Dr. Chang. I would be honored to continue serving the confluence in such a capacity, but I sense there is more you wish to discuss. Malik nodded, his expression growing serious. We've detected anomalies at the edges of known space. Energy patterns that are disturbingly similar to the Devourers. We're concerned that our victory 5 years ago might not have been as complete as we thought. A hush fell over the bridge. Elena felt a chill run down her spine, memories of that terrible battle flooding back, but she squared her shoulders, facing the challenge head-on. If the Devourer, or something like it, is still out there, we'll face it together, she said firmly. Humanity, the Zarkov, all the species of the confluence, we're stronger now than we've ever been. Zilvax's holographic eyes met Elena's, and she saw in them a reflection of the same determination she felt. Indeed, Admiral, and with this new quantum network, we have unprecedented ability to coordinate our efforts across the galaxy. As if on cue, the ship's sensors lit up with incoming transmissions. Elena turned to the communications officer, a young ensign whose blue skin marked her as a member of a species from the galactic core. Report, Ensign Thurin, Elena ordered. The alien's tendrils quivered with excitement as she processed the data. Admiral, we're receiving messages from across the confluence. News of our successful test with Zilvax is spreading. They're calling for a special session of the Confluence Council. They want to discuss the implications of this new technology and they're requesting Earth's leadership in planning our next steps. Elena exchanged glances with Zoe and Malik, seeing her own mix of pride and apprehension reflected in their eyes. In just 5 short years, humanity had gone from newcomers on the galactic stage to being called upon to lead in times of crisis and innovation. Well then, Elena said, a smile tugging at her lips, let's not keep the galaxy waiting. Plot a course for the confluence capital. It seems we have a future to shape. As the Zilvax prepared to jump to quantum space, Elena took a moment to gaze out at the star-filled vista before them. Each point of light represented not just distant suns, but worlds full of alien life, civilizations with their own hopes and dreams and challenges. Humanity's place among those stars was no longer a distant aspiration, but a complex, thrilling reality. They had faced cosmic horrors and emerged stronger. They had bridged gaps between cultures separated by eons of evolution and light years of space. And now, they stood ready to lead the charge into a new era of galactic cooperation and discovery. The quantum drive hummed to life, and Elena felt the familiar tingle of anticipation run down her spine. Whatever challenges lay ahead, be they diplomatic negotiations, scientific mysteries, or the looming threat of a resurgent devourer, humanity would face them with the same spirit of innovation and determination that had brought them this far. Admiral, Zilvax's voice broke through her reverie. I sense great things ahead for all our peoples. The next chapter of our shared cosmic story is about to begin. Elena nodded, her voice ringing with confidence as she gave the order. Take us to quantum space, Helm. The future awaits. In a dazzling burst of energy, the Zilvax leaped into the quantum realm, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of Earth and countless alien worlds. As they hurtled towards their destiny, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how far they had come and excitement for the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. The stars had once seemed cold and distant. Now they were beacons of life, of civilizations to meet, of mysteries to unravel. Humanity had found its place in the cosmic tapestry, not as conquerors or subservient newcomers, but as partners in a grand alliance of sentient beings. Together with their alien allies, they would face whatever challenges the universe had in store. They would push the boundaries of science and culture, forge new paths of cooperation and understanding. And in doing so, they would write the next great chapter in the story of life in the cosmos. The adventure, Elena realized, was only just beginning.